What's going on, everybody? This edition of the Red Cup Review is brought to you by the Collector's Zone Cantina. Right over here, covering this awesome box of Darth Maul, is going to be showing you how to kind of go and join up with them. And that's where I got my figure, and maybe you should go and get yours there as well. At least go and join up. They got a great rewards program. Today we're looking at the DX18, as you can see here. Return to the DX series from Hot Toys Darth Maul figure. And this isn't him with his, his Harley Davidson over on the desert there, Sit Speeder. I'm just kind of rocking with the regular version myself. And am I going to hold on to this figure? Am I going to keep him? I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of a hit and miss with me. As far as being an awesome Darth Maul figure, it checks all the boxes. However, there's a couple of things that kind of had me scratching my head. Little nits. It's not a perfect figure. Is it as cool as this guy back here, Count Dooku? I don't know. I don't think so. Even though he's a cooler looking figure, I don't think it's a better figure. Stay tuned for the rest of the review, and let's see what we can do with this guy. He killed Liam Neeson, so fuck this guy. Why do we shell out the big bucks? At least your hero, Rob Banks, over here does it for the face sculpts, because that's where all the detail is. And a little bit of paintwork that they did give Darth Maul on this figure, the paintwork is stellar, especially in the horns. You can see there's like individual brush strokes to really make it look like bone, and it's kind of almost borderline so light at the tips that it just looks so natural and real, and it's done excellently. Now the face tattoos. Now the actor, right, Ray Park had makeup on, right? But for those of you that actually have tattoos would know that when you get your tattoos done, they actually raise your skin. You're actually marking and scarring your skin. So it's not going to be necessarily totally flat against your skin unless they're really old. And if you're keeping the tattoo marks fresh, they're always going to have that raised feeling. That's why the face sculpt here doesn't really bother me too much with the actual raised markings of the black, because his face is red and he has black tattoos. So you can see really over here, like on this side, and on this side here, like right on either sides of the nose, that the skin looks kind of raised. Now, that might not necessarily be screen accurate, but it's realistic accurate. To those of you that know the history of Darth Maul, Darth Sidious actually tattooed his face and the rest of his body in order to make him, like hate things more and all that other stuff. So the tattoos to me look fresh and they look raised, and I'm totally fine with that. Plus the paintwork is great, the great paintwork around the eyes, and the redness in the eyes makes him look stoned. Here's the other head sculpt. But that is kind of true to the character. Just take a look at those nice, nasty-ass teeth. We're going to take another few seconds to take a look at this head sculpt on top of this body. However, what we're going to do here is we're going to pop off this head sculpt. See? And it's done with a magnet. And I think that's a great, great idea, because you get a lot of nice rotation in there, right? Natural stuff without having to constantly pop the damn thing off. Now, on the inside, you have individual purrs system, and that's great because I couldn't stand it when they had double purrs. So use that little black piece to stick behind there and rotate the eyes individually yourselves, and that's how you get that done. All right, big fan here. Big fan of this head sculpt, just because it's an alternate head sculpt, and I like options with my figures. I'm probably going to go with the other head sculpt in my collection for the pose I'm going to put him in. However, this head sculpt has something that's really great and totally stands out to me, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but the detailing in the tongue. Take a real close look now. Hopefully you guys are watching this on your 4K TV or something. The tongue itself has like a gradient feeling on it, or it's the way it was painted or something, I don't know, but it actually looks so natural and realistic. The tongue itself, like you could see the damn taste buds on this dude's tongue. And that's detail you ain't gonna get anywhere else. Now we're going to take a quick look at the outfit and the articulation on this figure. The articulation is very well done. The arms go up just about that high without having to manipulate them and rotate them. You could pretty much get his arm to rotate straight up over his head, and it's on a ratchet joint. See how it's kind of like stopping and going every time I move it? It is on a ratchet joint. You got the double elbows there, right? Everything works fine there. As far as an ab crunch goes, he does go down pretty low. He comes back, he doesn't really go back that far. Right, the legs go up about that far, which is fine, because if you want to have him doing like a jump kick, it'll work. And the split goes out about that far. There's ratchets in the knees. You hear that clicking noise? So that's good, so it'll hold a nice pose for a while. Now the boots, they're not all one piece. Let's take a look at the detailing on the boots real quick. Right? I know you guys like that type of stuff down there, right? It looks like a leopard print. No, it's not a leopard print, but it almost looks like it. The rocker in the ankles is ever so slight, so you might have a problem keeping his feet totally flat on the ground depending on what kind of a pose you put him in. Now let's put him back down here and take a look at his outfit. The robes are very bulky. They're not bad. They're excellent, excellent quality. You can really feel the quality on these. What you got to do is you got to kind of pull it down here a little bit, pull it down through his belt, pull it down through his belt. Get this piece to kind of sit as flush as you can. See how I'm pulling it down, but it's kind of bulking out here, right? You got to get that to kind of sit in through here. It'll rest a little bit easier on his shoulders. It's really bulky back here. I don't think it's a fat suit. It's just layering and layering of clothing. Right, the tailoring on it is quite excellent, but it's so dark and black, and you guys know me. I like colorful stuff in my collection. The belt is done really nice. It's like bands wrapped it around, right? And he actually comes with, see these little pieces here? These can pop off pretty easy, so he comes with a couple extra of those besides the hand pegs that he normally comes with. There's where the lightsaber attaches, and it attaches the same way that the Count Dooku one does, and it's a huge pain in the ass, so we're not looking at it because I almost broke it on the damn other one. If you want to see how this works, go look at the Count Dooku review I just did. All right, a little earring on the side there. Darth Maul is a fashion stylist. Here's a big complaint I'm seeing. He has no neck. He actually does have a neck, and the neck is fine. If you pull this down, again, it's so dark. If you pull this down, his neck is perfectly proportioned. It's that his traps and the bulkiness of his robes right here ride up kind of high, so it gives him like more thickness and dieselness in his shoulders, and that's what makes him have like that no neck feel. But if you kind of pull that back, you can see that his neck is actually pretty well and perfectly proportioned. Plus, the colors are all one color, and you guys know when you wear all black color, the light disappears in black, so it gives it an illusion that there might be less of a neck than there really is. The neck itself rotates, see, up and down that way, and it rotates around here. So the neck itself also gets movement and posability in there, too. So you got that going for it. Excellent work there. Now, what would a Sith Lord be without his Sith robes? And while simultaneously making this figure looking bigger, beefier, more intimidating, I gotta tell you, I'd probably pose him without the Sith robes on, and they're kind of a little bit cumbersome. Now, we're gonna try to manipulate this without moving the camera too much. You can see how much it really bulks him out, right? I mean, the Sith robes really add a lot of volume to the body. They are excellently and expertly well tailored, as most things come to be from Hot Toys. As you can see, the different layers and folds in the fabric itself. If you guys want to close the cape here, or the robe, there's a little clasp right there. Be careful so you don't snap it off. However, on the actual headpiece itself, it takes a little bit of work to get it to drape properly. And as you can see here, because of time constraints, and I'm doing this thing right before I got to pick the kiddies up from school, there's a little tiny, small little wire that runs in here. It's got to be a little bit thicker of a wire so you can really get it to fall naturally, because the outfit is so thick and double layered. I have a feeling guys are going to be doing this custom on the aftermarket. It's nice. You could really feel the quality of it. However, it's a pain in the neck to get to sit just right. And also, don't just pull it off his head, because the sharp pointiness of his horns will grab a hold of the fabric. Right? You can almost, like, when you grab it and you do something like this with it, look, it looks great like that, right? And then you do this, and it kind of floats up. So that's not cool. But it's a toy nonetheless. It's not a real person. Also, I wanted to mention what I haven't mentioned before. There are slight little wires in this robe as well. So if you want to put him in an action pose and kind of flip, well, there goes the camera, and you want to flip it around, flip these things up like that, it works. It'll give it that flowing effect. All right, here's something cool and at the same time super annoying I wanted to point out about the hands themselves. Now, when you pop the hand off, as you can see here, inside the hand, before the hand attaches to the arm itself, this little jammy is in there, right, with a little hole for the hand peg to come through. However, when you're replacing the hands and you want to take one on and put another one off, this kind of gets in the way and really bulks up, and it becomes a huge pain in the ass to take the hands on and off, although this is supposed to go back on over the hand. And I'm always worried about snapping those little pegs in there. Now, on this one, that's where this one was from, I actually just took it straight off, right? So there's none of that, like, see now you can see that the hand peg in there? That's what that's for. It's supposed to cover that up. But you can manipulate the glove in a way where it covers it up anyway. So personally, I would just take these off and leave them off, because the hands are much easier to put on and off without these stupid things. But thanks anyway, Hot Toys. Good try. Silver medal. If you're interested in buying this figure, you pretty much already know what he comes with. And even though this is the non-deluxe version with the speeder bike, or Sit Speeder rather, he comes with a ton of stuff. Although I'm not a big fan of cumbersome bases, this one works well because of the posability factor you get with it. You get the Star Wars Darth Maul name up front. Listen to this. You hear that? It's actually rough textured. So you get a smooth texture and a rough texture with it, which is really nice. It's the Duel of the Fates base. Here's something that I wish they would have came with. Some of these things tend to flip over on some of the newer Star Wars figure, and they should have had, like when the doors open up and you see Darth Maul stand there ready to take on Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, that would have been really cool to get the floor of the palace. Alright guys, for those of you that are new to this game, here's what you use to control the eyes inside the head sculpt, because it does have the purge system. Here's a quick look at one of the hands. The hands are in flat black. Right? Pretty cool. They work nice. You don't really need too much, damage on them or anything like that. Darth Maul doesn't really catch much action before the end of the movie. Here are his binoculars, and these have the best paintwork of the entire figure. It really looks nice and old and rustic. Yeah, this is really dope. I wish the figure lended itself to more paintwork like this, but it's just he's a Sith that wearing robes. What are you gonna do? Nice translucent piece there and there. Here are the light-up lightsaber hands. No, we're not going to be looking at the light-up parts because I don't do that on this channel. I suggest maybe going and checking out the Paradox Nerd if you guys want to see how these things light up, because he does mad awesome reviews too. Let's keep it moving. Here is the main lightsaber, and you got the plugs on either side there for the blades to go in. And I actually have it separated right now to make it easy for you, because this really does go together, and there's almost not noticeable seam there. You pull this apart here, right? Then you take this little piece that comes with it and you slide it in there in case you want him to do the single lightsaber effect, like when he first takes on Qui-Gon, or is that like when it splits in half when he fights Obi-Wan? I don't know, something like that, but it's cool. The paintwork could have been a little bit better on this. I feel as though it should have been a little bit more black washed. It's a little too silver for my liking, but it's alright. It works. It's cool when it's in his hand. Here's the Sith probe, and while simultaneously being one of the coolest designs and nicest pieces of this Hot Toy figure, it's also got a huge nit that I'm taking off points for. You guys can just take a look at that paintwork, though. It's really, really delicious, especially with the black. It's not just flat black, and it's got the silver streaks in there and the scrapes and scratch marks. Very nice, done very well. However, be careful with this. It will bend and break pretty easily. It comes in its own separate piece you got to plug in there. The base, look at that. See how it's wobbling? Not cool, man. This should have been a solid piece here. So when you put it down, over time, because this has some weight to it, it's going. See how it just bobbles? It's going to start weighing it down over time. And eventually, this is going to wind up bending and sagging. So that's a big no-no in my book. Look at that. It just flops over. The base also could have been a little bit thicker to give it some more weight. And as always, we're going to be doing a height comparison here for you guys. And I want to tell you that first off that Darth Maul is 5'7", Count Dooku is 6'3". There's a 7-inch difference between the two of them. And it looks like there's a little bit more than a 7-inch difference between the two figures if they were scaled up to life size. However, Darth Maul being shorter and stockier, Count Dooku a little bit taller and slender, it definitely adds to variation in your collection. You don't want all your figures being the same size or the same height. Plus, Darth Maul's going to be in some kind of like crazy, Sith motion, whipping his saber around anyway. So they'll look cool together regardless, and they do look nice together. Here, I am actually digging Darth Maul with his Sith robes on. I just want to note, and the hood pulled back. I think it looks pretty awesome, especially once you put the lightsaber in his hand and have it ignited. It's going to look great. In conclusion, we just want to say thank you for joining us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away. Please consider smashing the like button, and please consider giving us a subscribe so we can catch you guys on a future episode of the Red Cup Review. Thank you, Collector Zone, for being our sponsor for this episode. Darth Maul is getting 4 out of 5 cups because he's a really great representation of the character, but there's a few nits that hold him back, and I just don't want to give him that perfect score. He's probably the best representation of Darth Maul you're going to get on the market, although I don't have the Sideshow one. You guys know earlier in the video why I said I think he's really awesome. He's got a lot of shelf presence, he's got a ton of accessories, and they give you a lot of posing variations. Say that 3 times real fast. Thanks for watching, everybody. We hope you enjoyed these pictures. Again, we will see you on a future episode of the Red Cup Review. Thanks for watching.